Hey guys, welcome to Cultured. It's time for a review on Joji's Nectar. Right, the production throughout this album was insane. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Joji. I dropped my bloody phone. Yeah, I love Joji. Yeah, Right is probably my favourite song of his. Yeah, so no disrespect to George. The production is definitely the highlight of the album here. It's so grand and orchestral. Like, it just makes it sound like an important album, you know? Lyrics-wise, he doesn't usually venture outside of, like, Girls and I'm Sad. But at the same time, he doesn't really need to. Because, like, he offers enough of a difference in, you know, or like through the production and through his delivery to separate himself from other artists who do the same or similar things. So it still sounds new. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something we've all heard 100 times before. Like in Daylight, that was the song that had Diplo on production. I actually really liked that. That was a nice, refreshing song in the album. But that had the lyric, "You're hiding on the FM radio. I sing along just to sing my thoughts at someone." Like, so he's basically saying he's just listening to the radio, listening to songs he's heard before. But now that he's been through something, so I'm guessing breaking up with someone, he's now seeing that person or hearing that person in those songs. Like, these songs have now become relevant to his situation, and he's sort of seeing that there. So that person is hiding in the FM radio. I thought that was a pretty clever way of looking at it. I've definitely haven't heard that before, but I mean, we've all experienced that, you know, just like something happens in your life, and then you hear a song that you've heard before, and you're like, okay, that matches now. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, you just get like a weird sense of relatability. And with Diplo producing as well, it did offer a really nice, refreshing change in the album. It didn't need one either. I think it was the fourth track in it. Yeah, the fourth track in it. But I think having that sort of refreshing track, sort of that like early on, helped the album to not need it. Like, you know what I mean? If that song was placed later, you're like, okay, I'm glad this song came. It was getting a bit stale. It needed a refresher. Just moving it up earlier, you're like, okay, it's different. Not that it was getting stale before. Now he switched it up a little bit. So I think that was pretty clever, like the placement of that. Because like, it's so often I'm reviewing an album and like it's just the same thing from song to song. And then like, yeah, it's track 9 or something. Finally something different comes on and you're like, thank God. And it shouldn't get to that point. To be honest, I don't know if you would get to that point with Joji, just because like his songs all have a very similar sound, but they're not all the same, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so I don't think that would happen with Joji, but I think taking the precaution is a really good thing. And obviously, like, Joji produced, or co-produced throughout the album as well. So it helped so much more with the beat and the vocals just fitting together, like, perfectly. This song was a single, so call me a simp if you want, but Run, my fucking God, that song is good. Like, we did a track review to it, when it first came out, like, yeah, a couple of months ago now. Yeah, I said the same thing back then, that it is an amazing song. Banging. Absolutely banging track, that one. And the guitar just shredding it up at the end. Like, I remember when we did the track review for it, it was like at the end, I'm like, how's he going to finish the song? He's got 3 seconds left. His guitar's still amping up. It's still increasing. What's he going to do? And it just ends perfectly. Like, and the drums on the And I Know I'm Not Enough, it's perfect. Like, that is an amazing song. I really, really like that. Makes me feel good. And yeah, if you've listened to Joji at all before, you know that he uses like this sort of Billie Eilish whisper singing, but he does still take opportunities to flex his singing voice. In Run, for example, and in Mr. Hollywood, there's a few points like where at the top of like a big crescendo in the production, where he really puts some gusto behind his voice, and he really gets up there in like the high notes, and his voice does not crack at all. It's still got that lovely, smooth, rounded off sound. I don't know how he does it. Like the man is so talented. I don't understand how someone can be like that. there wasn't a single bad feature either. Like, aside from Diplo, there were 5 vocal features. Lil Yachty probably stood out the most. It was on a bit more of like a braggadocious song, so like it fit having him on there, if that makes sense. That song I actually like a lot, to be honest. I'm a pretty boy living on the west side. That's a good song. I really like that song. I'm remembering how good this album is now. I'm a good reviewer. Other than Boat Boy, there was Omar Apollo, who sounded great. He did have a weird lyric, though, that I didn't understand. Brand new whip sound like a Cheerio. I don't know what that could mean. Like, maybe there's just a car I'm forgetting that sounds like the word Cheerio, like it rhymes with it or something. I don't think Cheerios make a noise, like, you know, Cocoa Pops or something, where they sort of like bubble in the milk. It would have to be a rhyme, but I can't think of a car that rhymes with Cheerio. Maybe I'm just forgetting something, but I thought that was weird. Benny was great. Again, offered like a nice bit of diversity, even though he didn't need it, sort of help, you know, prevent it. And then both Ray Brown and, I'm assuming it's pronounced Yves Tumor, were great. And when I began listening to the album, I thought that 53 minutes was a fair bit long for a Joji album, because he is like fairly soft. Like, yeah, he's got the crescendos, but for the most part, the production and his voice is like sort of lo-fi, low-key, you know, whisper singing, Billie Eilish-esque. So I thought 53 minutes was going to be a little bit long, but I mean, it's sort of like a breakup / love album about someone, and if you've just been through a breakup, you want to focus, or like you want to half focus on something for as long as possible. And with him being as lo-fi as he is, I think it's got the perfect, sort of sound for you to half focus on. Like, you can listen to it if you want, but it also makes really good background music, you know. For 53 minutes, I think it's a pretty good length. Like, any longer, I think it would be like dragging on a lot. So he sort of cut it off right before it got to that point, but it's still a really long thing. Like, if you listen to it twice, it's over an hour and a half gone. Like, maybe you only need to kill an hour and a half in a day, where you don't want to sort of be... I think that's, like, the length of it was pretty bang on. And the closer was perfect as well. The last lyrics were, have you ever loved, would you go again? So, like, sort of ending it on a pretty positive note, like saying, like, yeah, it sucks, but it's pretty good, wasn't it? Like, you would do it again. I really like that. So after this almost like hour-long journey, he says it was worth it because I know you're going to do it again. I like that. So I think for me it's going to be a 7 out of 10. Like, I like it, but it's not for me right now. You know, I can't relate to it. I'm not going through anything like that at the moment, and luckily it's been a while since I have. But because I don't have that relatability with it, it's just like a song. You know, it's a lot less emotional to me. But I think if I listened to it at a time where I could relate to it, I would like it a lot more. So yeah, if you like Joji, you're going to like this. It's like Joji, but better. Yeah, if you are going through like anything like, you know, is in the topics of these tracks, I think it's going to be a great listen. So yeah, check it out, because I think it would be really good. Thank you guys for watching, and be sure to tune in tomorrow, where I'll be doing Only for Dolphins by Action Bronson. It's quite a, it's very heavily aesthetic based, I'll say that. But if you want to hear more, check back tomorrow. I will see you there. That's a wrap.